Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Talking City podcast with myself, Alex James, and City writer Tyrone Marshall. Before we get going, just a word of thanks for our sponsors, NordVPN. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/Talking City. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And the link is in the podcast episode description box. There we go. Yeah. I always feel a bit like Gary Neville doing the Whoel? How'd you pronounce that? Whoever he does.
Whoel, I think. Yeah.
So there we go. But yeah, nicely done and on to the football. And I know your disdain for international football, so we will gloss over that as if it hasn't happened at all, and dive.
It barely happened, let's be honest.
And just trying to think. There's no City players in the England squad anyway now, is there? Nice. John Stones has pulled out.
No, I don't think there is. So even bigger irrelevance.
Although I did see Jeremy Doku scored a couple for Belgium.
He's amazing in those games against. This is why, like I've said to Sai previously, that I feel like this could be like the year when he becomes like his breakthrough year, which admittedly
are you basing that on
started very badly
World Cup qualifiers?
Well, he tears these minnows like Kazakhstan and Wales apart, doesn't he, when he plays? Thought you'd like that one.
Yeah.
But when he plays for Belgium and plays these minnows, like he absolutely rips them apart. And I can't. Was it Kazakhstan they played as well when they played Wales in that break in June? I can't.
Not
remember.
sure.
I don't know who else is in that group, but he played Wales and someone else.
Liechtenstein and North Macedonia, I think.
Oh, great, big hitters. Maybe it was Liechtenstein. And he ripped them to shreds. And you're like, God, such a good player there. But obviously, it's a lot harder to do it in the Premier League, and adding that end product is difficult. But I did notice in the week he said that he was paying attention to his stats this year and wanted to get his numbers up. And I mean, maybe we'll come on to it, but that is something that's definitely got to happen. But you watch him tear Kazakhstan apart, and you're like, what a player! But then probably at Arsenal away in a couple of weeks. I mean, he probably won't even start, but that's the next challenge for him, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess that is a little segue into sort of how we're going to. Obviously, we've got sort of 10 days without a game to dissect. Even the transfer window's closed now, so we're just sort of going to have a look at perhaps what City need to try and do, how they might shape up going forwards. And Doku is a nice little segue. If we start, I'm going to say start at the back, we'll start at the front with Doku and how City have got to look to play and who perhaps is in their first choice 11 going forward. Massive week, as we said on the podcast last week. I think we said season defining. That might be overstretching it a little bit in the Champions League because it's the first game. Yeah. And if anything, PSG showed last season that you can afford to be asleep in the first couple of weeks and still win the competition. But certainly the United and Arsenal games are a huge significance. And on the back of that sort of stuttering start from City, it'll be interesting to see the 11 and those 3 attacking positions behind Haaland, with Doku obviously been one contender, even with Cherki's absence, Savinho now potentially back in the fold. They're not clear cut, are they, in any way, shape or form at the moment through injuries, fitness and form, I guess, all 3 really.
Yeah, they're not. And they need, I think one of the problems here is that they need goals. They need more goals. And it was noticeable. Last season, they scored 72, I think it was, in the league. 3 years before that, it was 94, 99 and 96. Haaland got 22, I think, in the league last year. Even if you add another 10 to Haaland and he gets 32, which would be an exceptional season, that's still like, I think 12 to 17, maybe short of the tally in the previous 3 years. So you're still reliant on the other players finding 12 to 17 goals to get you to that high 90s total, which is probably what it's going to take to win the league.
Yeah.
And you look at that team apart from Haaland, and you don't really see where the goals are going to come from. I think Reinders was obviously a big hope. He got 15 last year. Those 2 at Palermo, the one at Wolves, looked pretty good. None since then. And I think, the wide areas are a real problem, aren't they? Because it looked like Doku and Savinho were the first choices during the Club World Cup. But for all their kind of exciting play and attacking quality, the numbers are awful. Like, let's be honest, their numbers in front of goal are terrible for wide players. They've got to be a lot better. Savinho got 3 in all competitions last year, I think. Can't remember how many Doku got, but not enough for wide players in a Manchester City team. Like, they have got to get more Foden's always the possibility. I mean, I think in the league last year, Haaland got 22, and then it was Foden and Marmoush with 7. Obviously, Marmoush got those in half a season, but he's not scored yet this season. Missed a couple of decent chances against Tottenham. Foden is still having these injury issues. We don't really know where Foden is at going into this season. So I think one of the big issues is, where are these goals going to come from? Because you cannot rely. A, you can't rely on Haaland, and B, like I say, even if he goes from 22 to 32, and everyone else does what they did last season, that's still only 82 goals in the league, and it's probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, for me, I think you've got Foden and Marmoush are your next best chance of goals behind Haaland, and I would start Oscar Bob. They would be my 3 at the moment if everyone was fit. Yeah. And everyone was sort of firing a little bit. Obviously, like you say, Foden's a bit of a grey area just because he hasn't. Obviously, he's not featured enough this season for us to kind of know where his level is. But I'm with you. I think Savinho and Doku, for all their sort of bums off seats play, if you like, and getting into good areas. I mean, Doku in particular probably isn't as. He's got to be one of the most frustrating players in the Premier League at times.
Yeah, that's why. Like, you watch him, and I mean, it's a bad comparison because they're playing like not to go on a rant about international football again, but they're playing like probably League 1, League 2 teams, aren't they? When they're playing Kazakhstan and Liechtenstein and Wales, and like if you put Doku against Salford City, it'd tear them apart. He needs to do it against United next week and against Napoli and against Arsenal. But you look at him and you're like, he gets into such good positions. There's no reason why he can't be 15 goals and 15 assists in a season. And if he does that, he's amongst the best players in the world. Yeah. And you watch him in these games and the skill, the dribbling ability. A
bit like Sterling was, I think, when he first joined City. So, there, you sort of wondered. And then
that sort of player. And I mean, it's a bit of a stupid comparison given what he's gone on to achieve. But someone like Ronaldo, who like was I guess similar-ish in a way, that he played wide and did a lot of these like tricks and flicks, and then suddenly it just clicked with Ronaldo. Like, I need to score more goals, and he worked on it constantly, like worked on it really hard, and then went stratospheric with his goals. And you know, it's obviously not a great comparison, but that's kind of what you feel like Doku needs
but I know
to
what you
do.
mean. Yeah,
that he needs to. That if he not knuckled down, because I'm sure he's working on it, but if something clicked with him about getting in the right positions and being at the back post for tap-ins, getting inside and just improving his finishing and working on his finishing, then it could easily click with him and he becomes 15, 20 goal a season, man, and it's transformative for him and for City. But it does need to happen because there's no point doing what he does when his numbers remain as mediocre as they are.
Do you think, because you're right, Doku looked really good in that, or I didn't actually watch it, so he looked really good. I have no idea what he looked like because I didn't watch Belgium versus Kazakhstan. But obviously he scores 2 goals and impresses. Yeah. He's still doing, England won 2-0 against Andorra. Didn't read about anybody tearing Andorra apart in a way Doku's done it. So they're clearly a player there. Is that just his, do you think that's just his decision making? Is that what it is? The penny needs to drop a little bit in terms of when he gets into that.
I think so. Yeah.
Position of, do I pass? Do I shoot? Do I take the extra touch?
Yeah.
Can some of that be coached? And is some of it down to City maybe not being as fluid and fluent? Certainly in the last 9 months, 12 months.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's about having that nose for goal, like getting into those positions. I mean, they play a different way now, but we saw it with Sterling and Sane, where they were always at the back post for those finishes. It's about having that kind of that nose to sniff out a chance as a winger, to know like where to go around Haaland when the ball's on the right and Doku's on the left. Like, don't stay wide at the left, get into the middle, look for a goal, be another Haaland in there, like sniff it out. And obviously part of it is decision making and finishing. I don't think anyone can argue that his decision making is hit and miss. So there's a bit of that, but you do see it with players like this. I think that something will just click, and I think a lot of it is coaching basically, and knowing like where to be on the pitch to get the chances and put them away. And you think the goal he scored in the Club World Cup was against Alan when Ait Nouri played in the ball and he'd made that kind of run inside. Might have been Juventus, was it? I can't remember. A long time ago now, wasn't it? And it was the middle of the night. But it was a really well taken goal, so we can do it. He scored from a corner in the first game.
Yeah.
So he can do it, and he can get those goals. But you just feel like, because goals are such an issue, I think, in this team, aside from Haaland, that they need someone else to step up. You look at Brighton game, I think City had 12 shots and 7 of them were from Haaland.
Yeah.
And Haaland could easily score a hat-trick in the first half, and it's a different story. But it's not sustainable for your striker to be having that many shots, to be so reliant on your striker for goals. And they need other people to stand up. When you look at last season's Premier League tally, I've written a piece about this weekend, which is why I've suddenly know what
I've got all the numbers to hand, yeah.
I think Kovacic scored 6 last season. Obviously, he's injured at the moment. Gvardiol scored 5, injured at the moment, and now playing at centre-half rather than left-back. De Bruyne got 4, he's gone. Bernardo is a really good player, but he's never been a great goal scorer.
No, he was. I feel like he had a patch at one point a couple of seasons ago where I think he scored 6 or 7 in 10 or 11. But you're right. He's not. And also, you shouldn't be building your goal scoring. Yes, Kovacic, Bernardo, Gvardiol chip in, but we shouldn't really be taking them into account.
No, it should be a collective between the front 3 and your front 4. I mean, look at the team they've got to catch is Liverpool. Look at Liverpool. All right, Salah scores loads, but so do all the other forwards. Everyone in that attack contributes pretty regularly with goals, I would say. And if Salah is your Haaland in that attack, your other players are contributing way more than your Doku. Like Gakpo is contributing way more than Doku in terms of goals. And that's kind of where City need to get to. They need to have 3 or 4 players who can get you 10 plus season league goals probably. And last year they were way off it.
A fully fit Foden probably does that. Foden plays 32, 34 league games. He probably scores you 10 goals.
Yeah, I think he does. But like I said, there's kind of there's questions there, isn't there, over his fitness at the moment. And he was very open after the cup final about what a difficult season it had been for him off the pitch and mentally, and it felt like a fresh start. He even said new season, fresh me, I think, after that first Club World Cup game. And then I don't think he started a game since then.
No.
And his minutes gradually got less and less and less during the Club World Cup. And now obviously he's still got this ankle injury, we think. And City is saying not fully fit away at Brighton. It's what does that mean? Played 15 minutes last week, was not fully fit at Wolves. So it feels like there's a few questions there around Foden. And like you say, a fully fit, on it Foden is going to get you 10 plus goals a season, maybe 15. Look at what he did 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think Marmoush, if Marmoush can score, what did you say, he scored 7 or 8? He
scored 7 last season. But a lot of them, I'm guessing, would have been...
one of them was a rocket from 40 yards as well, which is unlikely to score a goal like that
every week. A lot of them were probably filling in for Haaland. And obviously, if you play Marmoush now, you're playing him on the left instead of Doku, aren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe if he's going to contribute more goals, maybe that's a price worth paying. But yeah, I think the key to City getting close to Liverpool or Arsenal, and certainly Liverpool, is more goals from, especially I think those wide areas in the plays behind Haaland.
And Savinho's another kind of unknown, because evidently he's still here. He was clearly open to a move. He's another one who it seemed like it wasn't too long since Pep was sort of saying this is the future Savinho. He goes to the Club World Cup. I think we've trotted this out a lot, but he played the most minutes, I think, of any City, certainly outfield player at the Club World Cup. And then before you know it, he's been linked with a move to Spurs. Then he picks up a classic transfer window injury. He's obviously now back in the fold, back in contention to play again. Pep clearly rates him. You don't play the most minutes at the Club World Cup or as regularly as he did at a young age without the support and backing of your manager. But it's hard to see him coming straight back in, isn't it, I think? Or is it? I don't know. Can't really make my mind up on whether he...
I don't know, because obviously Cherky could play that position, but he's out. Whatever the situation with Foden, I'd be amazed if he's starting on Sunday. So you're probably looking at between Bob and Savinho for that role. So I don't know, maybe Savinho does come straight back in. I think there was pictures doing the rounds last week of him training. Obviously, we don't really know what this injury is and how serious or significant or even genuine it was, given what was going on. So I don't know. Maybe there's a chance he does come back in. But like you say, Savino and Bob, I think, Bob had started the season pretty well and then was disappointing second half at Brighton. Another player who you look at and think, not a lot of goals coming there for all the good work that you do. So, yeah, I think there's probably questions over those wide positions at the moment. For all that a lot of those players who mentioned are really good to watch, the numbers have got to go up big time, I think, for at least one of them, if not two.
And those numbers have to go up as well because City at the moment, you wouldn't put your house on a clean sheet.
No.
So for the uninitiated, you have to therefore score at least two to win the game. And I think you can sort of say Rodri and Reinders is pretty set in that midfield as the two going forward. But then at the back, it's similar. I think it's similar to those three really, where you're kind of looking at lots of on paper good options, but maybe no nailed on. This is, if we're playing, which they will be, Arsenal away or the Champions League final or whoever, this will be the back four.
Yeah,
that doesn't feel clear cut either. I mean, Aït-Nouri starts at left back. At some point, whether it's United or Napoli or Arsenal, Donnarumma is going to be number one.
Yeah.
We would imagine going forward, even if perhaps Trafford starts the derby. Other than that,
yeah, there was questions. I mean, like Nunes probably starts, I don't know, maybe United and Arsenal for kind of the physicality that he can bring. Lewis maybe against Napoli, but I don't know. It's like you say, it's guesswork on right back, really. And
I mean, I wonder if Stones. I mean, I'd be tempted to play Stones at right back, certainly against Arsenal, because he can fill it into midfield, as we've seen him do from that position before. He's probably a better one-on-one defender than Nunes and Lewis.
Yeah.
And he gives you a bit more physicality and presence at set pieces, which Arsenal love.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Arsenal do like that.
And I don't know if Donnarumma being in goal changes whether you need not necessarily Stones at right back or whether we might see a bit more of Kushnerov because I know he's injured at the moment and probably unlikely to play against United. And it'd be a big thing to throw Kushnerov in, week out. But he's got the pace to, if City are going to carry on playing a high line, and Donnarumma is going to be 5 yards further back than Ederson was, and maybe less adept at doing what Ederson did in those scenarios, might you need a bit of pace in that back four? I don't know.
Yeah, I possibly hadn't really thought of it like that, to be honest. I mean, like we spoke about on Friday, it's going to be fascinating to see how City set up with Donnarumma in goal, because it's not like it was 20, 30 years ago when you just put a goalkeeper in goal and it makes no real difference to how anyone else plays. Like that's how it was when we were watching football in the 90s and 2000s, wasn't it? Like you play any goalkeeper, really. Like it doesn't change what position the back four are taking up, I don't think, in those days.
No, probably not. Because the goalkeeper's going long most of the time.
Yeah, goalkeeper's going long most of the time. High lines were very, very rare in that era. And even if you did play a high line, your goalkeeper wasn't stood on the edge of the penalty area, really. Like goalkeepers just didn't really do that.
No. I think the only thing that's similar now to then is if you're a keeper and if you ask any professional keeper, they want to know their back four and what they're getting and that sort of understanding around
a bit of consistency.
If around communication and sort of knowing where they'll be and how they'll react in different situations is probably the only thing that you'd say is similar. Yeah. And City probably need that as well, because how many games we played? 3? They've had a different back four in every game, haven't they? So because did Lewis started one and Nunes started one?
No, Lewis started 2, didn't he? I think it was the same Wolves to Tottenham.
Was it?
But yeah,
but then Aït-Nouri went off.
Yeah, Aït-Nouri went off injured fairly early on. But yeah, I think, like I said, like we're saying, you've gone from kind of nowadays with a goalkeeper, he's part of the team, isn't he? Like goalkeepers take part in outfield training drills in terms of building moves and things like that. And a goalkeeper's position is relevant to the position of the back four in a way it wasn't 20 years ago. So Donnarumma's starting position is relevant to the position of the high line, the line in the defence and the centre backs. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that works. And defensively, like I said, I think the one question mark, well, probably one more than one, but certainly one of the big question marks with that defence is pace. And we've not seen Guardiola yet. I like the idea of Diaz and Guardiola as a partnership, liked it last season, but neither of them are particularly quick. I think they're decent on the ball, good physicality, but like I say, those balls over the top could be a...
Yeah, I mean, that Spurs goal where they're playing that high line, and I think Thomas Frank said after they got caught offside the first 6 times they played that ball. And then City were half a second, if that, from successfully doing offside for the first Spurs goal, wasn't it? Yeah. But if in that line was a quicker defender, e.g. Kusanov, might he have been able to... I mean, he might not. He might have been 5 yards too further forward, or... I'm not saying he would have prevented the goal, but he might have eaten up that ground a bit quicker.
Yeah, but it's like what Kyle Walker used to bring, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, the thing with Kyle Walker, he was good enough to be in the team anyway. His pace was a bonus, which I guess the question is Kusanov there yet? Excuse me, is Kusanov good enough to be in the team and his pace is a bonus, or would you be picking him purely for his pace? But we saw it against Al Hilal. Like, the City dominated that first half against Al Hilal in the Club World Cup. Then all of a sudden, it was like Al Hilal just went, right. They were trying to play out from the back and getting pressed a lot. And it was like Inzaghi just went,
yeah, forget that.
Forget about that. Just get it long. And like, they must have got in behind City 3 or 4 times in the first 10 minutes. And they won the penalty, which was offside, but wasn't offside because it was so marginal that it wasn't offside because like it was a perfect line. It was like one of those ones where they do the FIFA offside and it's like his shirt is offside or something. It was really tight. But that's potentially going to be an issue and where teams will look to get in behind City, I guess. But it's hard to say, innit? Because we don't really know how it's going to look with Donnarumma in goal. I think a lot of people are fascinated to see.
Yeah, and
see how it's going to look.
It's hard to predict who's fit at the moment as well, because
you
would assume Stones is going to be okay. Yeah. It feels like Stones, Lewis, Aït-Nouri, none of whom joined up with international camps having been called up, will be okay to play for City on Sunday. I guess you don't know is Kusanov, who clearly has an injury, and Gvardiol, who we haven't seen, so we're not quite sure where he's up to and if he's ready to play 90 minutes.
I mean, the thing with Stones is obviously he did go away and he did train with England, and then on Friday it was and he trained on Wednesday and Thursday with England, and Tuchel said it's a minor muscle injury, but there's obviously a concern there with Stones over fitness and durability. He had a real problem with injuries last year. I don't think he's started 4 games in a row for City since February 2024.
Tell you what, you've had stats for breakfast this morning. Unbelievable.
International break. Looking for any angle. But it's going to be interesting to see whether he does start at the weekend, like whether Guardiola takes that risk. Because part of the problem last year was that he was almost coming back too early because he had so many defensive problems. If Guardiola's not fit, and especially if Kusanov's not fit, you probably kind of need him again against United. Do they put him in? Do they kind of treat him with caution given the injuries he's had? Like, Guardiola and Tuchel have both said similar things about Stones very recently in terms of like, he is a brilliant, brilliant footballer. He's got to stay fit.
Yeah. And
that's the problem for both of them, really. That can he stay fit? Can he prove his fitness? I think he's maybe been City's best defender, I think, so far this season. Like, he's come back into the team and looks really good again. But now he's got this kind of minor muscle injury. And like I say, it'd be interesting to see whether he is fit enough, whether they feel that they can take a risk with him, or whether they feel they've got to be overly cautious because of what's happened. And also how it pans out. Does he play? Does he play like he did in the Bernabeu and then limp off and then not seen for a couple of months again? Because that's obviously a risk.
Yeah, and I think they do need a bit more consistent back four, but I also, especially with Stones, it just feels a big ask for Stones to play 3 games in a week.
Yeah.
Of the intensity of, and I know all Premier League games are intense, but of the intensity of United, Napoli and Arsenal. I just wonder, as I said before, whether your best bet is to say to Stones, we need you against Arsenal for a myriad of reasons. And if that means Kusanov or Gvardiol, if fit, play the derby. And I still, and if you said name the City's best choice back four, I'm not sure. I think you could ask 100 fans and get different. Well, obviously you can get 100 different answers, but I think it'd be very difficult to get any kind of consensus.
Yeah. I think there are concerns there about centre backs, and obviously at right back. I don't think anyone really thinks the answer is nailed down at right back. Núñez got to start against Brighton and was pretty poor in the second half. I mean, the penalty was just stupidity. And yeah, there are, like I say, I mean, that's probably the biggest issue, I guess, defensively. But yeah, it feels like there's kind of question marks in the centre as well.
Yeah, just like I would pick Lewis over Núñez, but I could see the pros and cons of both probably cancelling each other out.
Yeah, it was like we said about Lewis after the Wolves game, that he played really, really well and was excellent on the ball, linked up well with Bob. But the question marks about Lewis are in games like against United or Arsenal or Liverpool or Real Madrid, in terms of kind of that physicality and that defensive work at right back. And maybe that's why Núñez gets the start certainly against Arsenal. It's it's pretty clear Arsenal are a strong physical
team. That's what if I had 4 fit, I'd put Stones at right back against Arsenal.
That's it. Maybe you want someone a bit stronger physically than Lewis, and Lewis is a great option there. I think when you're having 65% possession and you can do what he did against Wolves, but in some games it's probably not going to work out like that, and he's going to find it a bit tougher.
That's why Pep's paid the big bucks, I guess, and why we're sat here paid the small bucks to discuss it on his behalf. But time will tell. Obviously, we're building up to the derby this week. We're recording on Monday, so obviously the game on Sunday, we'll have all the build up ahead of that one on the usual channels, and we'll be back for probably a more thorough Derby Day preview in Friday's podcast. So please subscribe and follow us and join us again then. And thanks for watching and thanks for listening.